Grocery prices have gone up almost everywhere in the world over the last few years, and most of us have responded to that the same way. Buying in bulk, stockpiling what's on sale, and quietly accepting that half of it will go bad before we get to it anyway. At the same time, a lot of that same food is leaving us tired, bloated, and reaching for something else an hour later. Japan is one of the most expensive countries in the world to live in. Groceries are not cheap there, and yet Japan has some of the lowest obesity rates of any developed nation, some of the longest life expectancies on Earth, and households that consistently spend less of their income on food waste than almost anywhere else in the West. That's not a coincidence, and it's not about some special diet. It's about how the shopping happens long before the cooking does. Today, I'm walking through 15 specific habits from Japanese grocery shopping that changed how I shop, how I eat, and how much I spend by the end of the week. Habit number 9 is a total game changer for your weekly budget, and it's something almost nobody outside Japan has ever heard of. Habit 14 is going to make you look at your own trash can differently because you've been throwing away food you already paid for without realizing it. Stay with me until the end because these habits build on each other. Skip the middle and the last few won't make nearly as much sense. Let's start with the habits that happen before you've picked up a single item because the shopping trip itself is where most of the waste begins. Habit 1 is the small basket rule. In Japan, grocery shopping happens more often and in smaller amounts, a basket, not a cart 2 or 3 times a week, rather than one enormous haul on a Sunday. It feels counterintuitive if you've been taught that fewer trips save time and money, but a smaller basket means you're only ever buying what the next 2 or 3 days actually need, which means almost nothing sits in the back of the fridge long enough to be forgotten and thrown out. The waste isn't happening at the register, it's happening in the drawer you didn't open for 10 days. Habit 2 is built around a word, knowing shun. It means the peak season of a specific food, the exact stretch of weeks when something is at its best flavor, its highest nutrition, and because it's being harvested in abundance, its lowest price. Japanese shoppers build meals around whatever is in shun that week, rather than a fixed list decided in advance. Strawberries in early spring, sweet potatoes in autumn, a specific fish at its fattiest a few weeks a year. Walk into the produce section and buy whatever looks abundant and cheap that day, and you're very likely buying what's in shun without even needing to know the calendar. Habit 3 is the bento mindset. Shopping for components, not finished meals. A bento box is built from small, separate elements: a protein, a vegetable, a pickle, rice. Shoppers raised on this instinct buy ingredients that can be recombined a dozen different ways rather than an exact ingredient list used once and then abandoned. One piece of chicken becomes 3 completely different dinners depending on what it's paired with, instead of 3 chicken breasts bought specifically for one recipe that gets made once. Habit 4 is avoiding what I'd call the convenience tax, the real measurable price difference between a convenience store and an actual supermarket. In Japan, a konbini, the corner convenience stores on nearly every block, will sell you a single onigiri or a small salad at a real markup compared to buying the same ingredients at a supermarket a few minutes further away. It's genuinely useful for a quick top-up. It is not where a household does its actual weekly shopping, and treating it that way is one of the fastest ways to quietly overspend without ever noticing where the money went. Habit 5 is knowing the schedule, specifically when the discount stickers come out. Japanese supermarkets mark down perishable items, prepared food, fish, meat, produce, nearing its sell-by window starting in the early evening, often beginning around 7, with the percentage climbing the closer the store gets to closing. Shoppers who know this simply time part of their trip around it, picking up the exact same quality items for a fraction of the daytime price. This single habit alone can meaningfully change what a weekly grocery bill looks like, and it costs nothing to learn, just a different time to walk in the door. That's the psychology of the shop. 5 small shifts before you've even filled the basket. And if you've made it this far, here's something worth knowing. Most people who click on a video like this don't make it past the halfway point. You're already past the part where most viewers give up, which means you're about to get to the habits that save the most money. the ones people skip to the comments, looking for because they never made it here themselves. Now let's get into the specific foods worth building your list around, because a few of these are doing an enormous amount of nutritional and financial work for very little money. Habit 6 is tofu and natto. Tofu is one of the cheapest complete protein sources available in almost any grocery store, and it takes on whatever flavor it's cooked with, which makes it far more versatile than most people give it credit for. Natto, fermented soybeans, is even cheaper, extremely high in protein, and carries genuine gut health benefits from the fermentation itself. Both together cost a fraction of meat-based protein and appear in Japanese households multiple times a week, specifically because of that math. Habit 7 is root vegetables, specifically things like daikon radish and lotus root renkon. Daikon is often available for under $2, keeps for weeks in the fridge without spoiling, and works in at least 4 completely different ways: grated raw as a condiment, simmered in broth, pickled or shredded into a salad. Renkon has a similar durability and versatility, with a satisfying crunch that holds up in stir-fries and soups. Root vegetables in general are the unsung workhorses of a low-waste kitchen. Cheap, filling, and slow to spoil, which means they almost never end up in the trash. Habit 8 is seaweed, wakame, and nori specifically. Both are extraordinarily cheap per serving, shelf-stable for a long time in dried form, and carry a mineral density iodine, calcium, magnesium that's hard to get anywhere else that inexpensively. A few dried sheets of nori or a small bag of dried wakame costs very little and lasts for months in a cupboard, adding real nutrition to a meal for pennies per serving. A single bag of dried wakame rehydrated a small pinch at a time can quietly outlast a bag of spinach that goes slimy in the crisper drawer within a week. Quick gut check before we go further. Of the 7 habits so far, how many are you already doing? If it's 0 or 1, you're about to see exactly why your grocery bill has been higher than it needs to be. And it's not because you're doing anything wrong. Nobody ever taught you these specifically. That's the whole point of this video. Now, habit 9, the one I promised you at the start. This is a deeper dive into that discount sticker system from habit 5, because most people who've heard of markdown stickers assume it's a single event. It isn't. Many Japanese supermarkets run a tiered system. A first round of stickers in the early evening cutting maybe 20%, followed by a second and sometimes third round as closing time approaches, each one deeper than the last. The exact timing varies by store, but shoppers who learn their local supermarket's specific pattern can time a single trip to catch the final markdown round and walk out with meat, fish, and prepared food at 50% off or more on items that were completely fresh just hours earlier. This is not expired food, it's food. The store needs to move before the day ends, priced accordingly. Learning your specific store's tiered timing is genuinely one of the highest value habits on this entire list, and it's the one almost nobody outside Japan has ever been told exists. Habit 10 is buying the produce nobody else wants. The imperfect, oddly shaped, slightly bruised items, often set aside in a discounted section, sometimes explicitly labeled around the idea of maranai, the cultural discomfort with letting something usable go to waste. A crooked carrot chops the same as a straight one. A slightly undersized apple tastes the same as a perfect one. These sections exist because retailers would rather sell imperfect produce cheaply than throw it away, and shoppers who buy from them are getting identical nutrition for a lower price while directly reducing food waste at the source. That's the shopping itself, but here's something worth sitting with for a moment. None of the first 10 habits matter much if the food just sits in your fridge the same way it always has once you get home. In fact, this is exactly where most households lose the money they just worked so hard to save at the register. The next 5 are about what happens after you walk through your own front door, because that's where most food gets wasted. And habit 14 is the one I mentioned at the start, so stay close. Habit 11 is immediate prep. The moment groceries come home, vegetables get washed, trimmed, and often cut, rather than going into the fridge whole and untouched until the day they're needed. Food that's already prepped gets used because it's frictionless. Food that needs washing and chopping before it can even be Cooked tends to get pushed back a day, then another day until it's no longer good. Habit 12 is small portion freezing. Rice gets cooked in bulk and frozen in individual single-serving portions rather than kept as one large pot slowly drying out in the fridge over days. Meat and fish often get portioned and frozen in the same way in exactly the amount one meal needs, rather than as one large block that has to be fully thawed and then used all at once or wasted. This single habit alone dramatically cuts down on the "I'll just order takeout" moments that come from having nothing quick and ready when you're tired. Habit 13 is a formula worth memorizing. Ichiju Sansai 1. Soup, 3 sides. It's the traditional structure of a Japanese meal, and it does something genuinely useful for a grocery list. It gives you a fixed shape to shop around instead of an open-ended question every single day. 1 soup, 1 protein, 1 vegetable dish, 1 smaller side, that's it. A shopping list built around filling 4 simple slots is dramatically easier to plan, buy for, and actually finish than a list built around a specific, elaborate recipe that needs 12 separate ingredients, several of which get used once and forgotten. Habit 14 is using the entire vegetable, the one I told you would change how you look at your own trash can. Broccoli stalks usually discarded can be peeled and sliced into a stir-fry with almost the same texture as the florets. Daikon leaves, almost always cut off and thrown away, are edible and nutritious, often sautéed simply with a bit of oil and salt. Carrot tops, radish greens, the outer layers of cabbage most people trim away entirely. All of it is food that's already been paid for and is being thrown away purely out of habit, not necessity. Added up over a year, and the average household is genuinely throwing away money in the form of edible scraps, often enough that it would visibly change a monthly grocery bill if they simply stopped. And habit 15 is the no-waste inventory, checking what's already in the fridge before writing the prime shopping list, not after. It sounds almost too obvious to count as a habit, and that's exactly why most people skip it. A list built without checking the fridge first almost always duplicates something already there, while something else that actually needs using gets ignored for another week. 5 minutes looking through what you already have before you write a single item down is the habit that makes every other habit on this list actually work together instead of working against each other. So here's what all 15 of these actually add up to. It was never really about the individual habits, the discount stickers, the root vegetables, the small portion freezing. It's about a completely different relationship with food. 1. Where nothing is bought without a reasonably specific plan for how it gets used, and where using every part of what you already paid for is treated as basic respect for the food itself, not an inconvenience. You don't need to adopt all 15 this week. Pick 2, maybe the discount sticker timing and the no-waste inventory check, and just try those for the next 2 weeks. Notice what happens to both your fridge and your bill. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these 15 surprised you the most? Or is there a grocery habit from your own culture, your own family that does something similar, something that saved you money or cut down on waste in a way most people around you have never thought to try? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one, and some of the best ideas on this channel have come directly from what you've shared down there. If this changed how you're going to shop this week, share it with someone who's been feeling the grocery bill climb and hasn't found a real answer yet. And if you want to see where all this food actually goes, once it gets home, my next video walks through exactly how a Japanese kitchen stays this organized with half the storage most Western kitchens have, making everyday meal preparation much easier and stress-free for everyone.